In this demo, I want to show you the pattern of some of the log records that happen when a page split occurs in an index. First off, I'm going to get rid of any old databases and create a new one to use. And then I'm going to turn off some things that could generate extra log records. And now I create a simple table to use with two columns, an integer column and a char 1000 column. I'm going to create a clustered index on my integer column. And then I'm going to insert some records. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 records on page 1, and that's all that will fit on the first page. And I've left a gap between ID 3 and ID 5. So there's my first page, and there's my second page. I'm going to clear out the transaction log with a checkpoint, and I'll talk more about that in Module 5. And then let's do a page split. So I'm going to insert that missing entry, record 4, and that's going to have to be inserted right between 3 and 5 because the insert point in an index is determined by the key value. There isn't going to be enough space on this page, and so the page is going to have to split. So let's go ahead and do that. And then if we look in the transaction log, it will have done a whole bunch of stuff. Now, what we're looking at here is it allocates a new page, and it gets it from the SCAM. It goes and looks and sees if there's an extent in the SCAM that has a free single page to allocate from, and there isn't. So what it did was, the SCAM is an optimistic algorithm. So an extent will be marked as having a free page until somebody goes and looks to see whether there really is a free page. And if there isn't, then that bit gets turned off, and that's what's happening here. So then it goes and says, well, okay, there are no extents with free pages, so I'm going to go and allocate an extent from the GAM page, and I'm going to mark it as having some free pages in the SCAM. It pulls one of the pages, it formats it as the new page that we're splitting into, it marks it as allocated, it makes a note of the page ID in the single page slot array in the IAM header, it accounts for the fact that we now have an extra page in our heap or B tree, so in our allocation unit. It marks the extent that that page came from as changed in the differential bitmap. And then what it's doing is, so this formatted the page header, this is writing the page out now. These guys are just making note of the fact that we are or are not inside a system transactions. We don't need to worry about those. And there's our insert of the records onto the new page and the delete of the records from the old page. So this is a special kind of delete called an LOP delete split, and this is the main log record that says we're doing a page split. And then it goes to the page that we just split from and updates the next page pointer to point to the new page that we just added. It goes to what was the second page in our index and updates the previous page pointer to point to the page we just added. Then it has to go and insert a record into the root page of our index to make sure that that new page at the leaf level is added in. And then, after we've done all that, we can insert the record that caused the page split. Now let's scroll over to the description of these log records, and we can see what I just described. Okay, so we have to allocate the extent, as I said. We are making a note in the differential bitmap. Sorry, here's us clearing the bit in the GAM page, allocating the mixed extent from the GAM page, making sure that the extent actually gets allocated for us, setting the bit in the in the SCAM page. Here's us allocating the page that came from this extent. They have the same page ID because this is the page ID of the first page in the extent. There's us updating the number of pages in our allocation unit. Here's us setting the differential bitmap bit, saying this extent changed. Here's the insert of the rows onto the new page, the delete split log record, saying that we split at row 3 in the old page. And there's us updating the next page pointer and the previous page pointer. So that's a pretty interesting set of log records. There's an awful lot of stuff that has to happen when a page split occurs, and later on in the course, I'll show you just how expensive page splits can be. when you're inserting rows that start to cause page splits. It can really add to the amount of transaction log that's being generated. As you can see there, we generated all of these log records to do a single insert, where a record insert that doesn't do a page split just does one record. So, pretty interesting stuff there.